What's up, everybody? This is my report for the week of Monday, May 25th through Sunday, May 31st. And just before I get into going day by day through the week, I just want to say that there's some themes that are applying to the entire week. And when you go through this week, be flexible, be open-minded. Unfortunately, there are going to be situations that don't turn out the way you might want them to. So we're coming out of this crisis episode. That's ending. That's the good news. There's the good news and the bad news this week. Good news is crisis is over, somewhat. Bad news is we're not totally sure of that. We're coming out of it feeling like, is it actually over? And are things like good now, or what? And what's gonna happen now? What do I do now? That's kind of the feeling this week. It's awkward. It's weird. It's uncertain. It's not scary though. That's the good part. But it's awkward. It's weird. It's sort of like it's not like a Disney movie where the world was threatened and then we killed the bad guy and then now we can all celebrate and have fun and the world is saved. It's not like that. This is the real world. We're coming out of the problem situation, but now we're wondering, like, is everything okay now? It just feels weird. And there's this foreboding feeling this week that there's something else coming. And it's natural to feel that way coming out of a crisis episode. But it's not that I don't see another like big, huge crisis coming in the near future. I don't see it that way. But I do see that the story's not over. There's gonna be some plot twists in the near future. And all of what I'm talking about, I'm not pulling this out of thin air. It's basically two things. One is that we're approaching eclipse season. There's an eclipse on June 5th, and so we're not there yet, but it's coming. And eclipse season is always sort of a trippy time, plot twist time. It changes the story, it changes the game, changes things. Things happen during eclipse season. So again, we're not there yet, but we can feel it coming on the horizon. We feel this something coming. We're in between this huge crisis of the last few months. We're in between that and eclipse season. So it's like this weird calm before the storm, or like this weird type of energy, this weird feeling. So that's one thing. We're approaching eclipse season. And then the other thing is all week, the main aspect that's defining this week is basically these three planets here, Pluto and Jupiter at the end of Capricorn, Saturn at the beginning of Aquarius, are making a quincunx with Venus, Mercury, and the North Node all at the end of Gemini. And then Mercury will enter Cancer this week, and it'll be at the beginning of Cancer, but even then it's still quincunxing Saturn. So basically all week you've got these three things quincunxing these three things. And a quincunx, it's also called an inconjunction. It's a 150-degree aspect. And what that is you're combining two things that can't really be combined. Basically, you're combining Capricorn with Gemini. And these two signs are so different that they don't mix. One's yin, one's yang, one's earth, one's air. One is early winter, one's late spring. One is a very dark time of the year, one's a very bright time of the year. Yin yang, earth, air. One's cardinal, one's mutable. They really don't have anything in common. And especially because you have these three planets here are all much slower outer planets compared to the Venus, Mercury, and North Node are much quicker and more personal to us than these. So basically what it is so the Capricorn stuff is asking for us to be serious, be responsible, be mature, be almost in a sort of survival mode, and just deal with the situation at hand, and It's very serious energy, and it has to do with these larger things that are happening in the world and the government and stuff like that. But then on a more personal level, we're feeling bored, we're feeling restless, we want to have fun, we want to go out, we want to do the things we're used to doing, we want to be social again, have fun, have these different experiences that make life worth living. And ultimately, you can't do both. You just can't. That's kind of what a quincunx is. It's a problem that can't be solved. Even with an opposition, you can kind of integrate both sides. But with this, you can't. You're gonna want to satisfy both sides of this situation all week, but you just can't. So what is there to do about it? So there's two things that, at least that I could see, that you could do about it in general. One is make a compromise of some sort. You're going to want to do those fun things, or even if it's just going to work or just having like a normal day like you used to, or whatever it is for you, those things that you want personally, you're not going to be able to do completely, or to do completely like in the way that you want to do them. You have to be more serious, or think about the long term, or think about the situation at hand, or be more careful with money or something like that. So the one thing you can do is compromise. You can't satisfy both, so there's got to be some sort of compromise, and it's gonna be awkward. It's gonna feel weird. You can't. That's why I said be adaptable, be open-minded. You be flexible. You can't have it all this week. And again, the good news is that it's not gonna be a huge crisis. It's not a huge problem. It's just a weird feeling. It's just a kind of awkward week. So the one thing to do is compromise. The other solution, that, as I see it, is in general, astrology teaches you that aspects are temporary. Some last longer than others. This is kind of, it's temporary. It will dissipate. So the other option is just to wait it out. But even that in itself is kind of a compromise. So, it's not a super sexy interpretation of the week. It's not fun. But again, it's not a crisis either. So we're just in this kind of awkward in-between phase. And if you think about what's going on in the world, it kind of makes a lot of sense if you think about it that way. But that's what I see for the week as a whole, and I will go day by day, just kind of briefly, because really those are the main defining things this week. Okay, so Monday, May 25th, you got Moon in Cancer. It's sort of, Monday kind of leads up to Tuesday, really. Monday is just starting that kind of awkward energy that I was talking about, basically everything I just said. Going into Tuesday, though, the moon at, I guess Tuesday morning, so late Monday, early Tuesday, as the moon approaches the end of Cancer, it starts to oppose Pluto Jupiter, and then in the morning of Tuesday morning, once the moon enters Leo, it will oppose Saturn. So basically, late Monday, early Tuesday, the moon is opposing these three planets. So people might they want to feel safe, they want to feel comfortable, but there's something uncomfortable going on. You want to feel safe and feel normal, but the larger scheme of things, the world is not so conducive to feeling that way. And it's just this kind of awkward energy. People might be very critical of the government or of authority figures, of the situation at hand. Whether it be the media or just people in general might be a little bit more critical Monday going into Tuesday. And then Tuesday morning, though, there is a shift a little bit, just because the moon enters Leo, and this is a waxing moon. We're coming from the Gemini new moon of last week. So the moon is gaining power, and as it enters Leo, it's going to become visible. It's going to become a crescent moon that's getting more and more light every day. And in Leo, though, it's a little bit weird, because and I'll especially talk about this going into Wednesday and Thursday. It gets really weird by Thursday, but basically the moon enters Leo, and so emotionally we want to sort of have a good time. We want to have a party energy. It's a little bit like that Gemini, that restless Gemini wants to have fun, but it's more fiery, more kind of party animal energy. But it's not really connected to anything. There are no other fire planets at all. There's Chiron, But Chiron is like, I honestly think Chiron's a little bit overrated in astrology. It does have an effect, but it's kind of minimal. So basically, the moon has no one else to party with. The moon wants to party, but there's no one in. It's just what the situation at hand is not really conducive to the feel-good party energy that the moon wants to have. So it's just more kind of awkward, weird energy. You might want to have a good time, but it's even if you can have a good time right now, it's you're not gonna fully be immersed in a party energy right now, most likely. Or if you do, it'll just be out of balance. Okay, and then that kind of applies to Wednesday as well. Moon wants emotionally, we want to have a good time, but it's just the moon is sextiling the sun and Venus, but it's starting on Thursday. As the moon approaches the end of Leo, it quincunxes Pluto and Jupiter, and then once it enters Virgo, it'll quincunx Saturn. So now, I was just talking about the quincunx between the Gemini planets and the Capricorn planets. Now the moon is also making its own quincunx from Leo to Capricorn. And what that is called is a yod. It's two quincunxes and a sextile. So the moon, like I said, the moon is sextiling, kind of Venus, and then the North Node, and kind of Mercury. And then there's two quincunxes on either side to these planets at the end of Capricorn, beginning of Aquarius. Okay, so if you don't know what a yod is, like I said, it's two quincunxes and a sextile. So I already kind of explained what a quincunx is. It's combining these two things that can't really be combined, these two very different energies that can't agree on things. They have to agree to disagree. So you're doing that, but times two now in a whole nother aspect, with the moon in Leo. And like I said, the moon wants to party, but it's time to be serious. It's we can't be goofing around. It's a serious time. So it's ungrounded. How do you combine all that? You can't. And then there is that sextile, which is harmonious. And these are all personal planets on this side of the aspect of this side of the zodiac. So personally, on an individual level, we just want to party. We want to have fun. We want to be normal. We want to enjoy life. It's just the larger situation at hand that's messing all that up. So it's kind of more of the same, but just on a more intense level on Thursday. Maybe it's the same issues that you've been dealing with all week, but they really come to a head on Thursday. And again, it's not going to be huge. It's not going to be like a huge problem situation. It's not going to be a crisis of some sort. It's just going to be this feeling that something's not right, or there could be situations where there's a problem, but there's nothing really to do about it. You can't really fix it. You might think about it, and it's like, what do I even do about that? There's nothing to do about this situation. Or even if there is something to do about the situation, it's like a half solution. It's like we can kind of sort of jimmy rig this situation, kind of sort of fix it, but it's not really the same. It's weird. It's awkward. And again, you gotta either compromise or just wait it out. This is the moon we're talking about. It's very quick. So even going into Friday, it'll dissipate. So you either depending on what, this could play out in many different ways for many different people. But depending on the situation, either make a compromise or just wait it out. That's all I can tell you. And just be grateful that at least it's not a devastating problem or anything. It's just kind of weird, and I think it's just a part of this process of coming from that really heavy 3 months we're coming out of. We are coming out of it. It's just not super beautiful as we might like it to be. Friday the moon enters Virgo, so and the moon being in different signs you can feel it if you're really attuned to it. It mostly comes about in aspects, though. I mostly notice the moon's aspects and the moon phase. The moon in each sign doesn't really make a difference. The moon in Virgo, generally, people might generally feel like they want to be more organized or more orderly, more practical. But okay, it gets weird again because So Friday, May 29th, the moon squares the sun, so it's a first quarter moon. First quarter moons are restless. They incline us to take action. I guess by this point we've been feeling weird all week, and having these problems that we can't really do anything about. Friday, you might actually be able to take action. Friday is equally restless as the rest of the week, but in a different way, in a new way, in a way where you can actually do something about something. There's actually an action that can be taken. But then the weird thing is that there's this T-square between Mars and Neptune in Pisces, Sun and Venus in Gemini, and then the Moon in Virgo. So it's so weird this week. The Moon leaves a yod, which is a super weird three-pointed aspect, and then it enters a T-square, which is also a weird three-pointed aspect. So it's kind of similar but different, I guess, where you're combining these different energies that can't really go together. The difference is with this, with a T-square, they're going to be all in the same mode. In other words, Friday, these planets that are clashing, they're all in mutable signs. So you're going to feel very frenetic, very torn in like a million different directions. It's like, these different problems that you might feel pulled in different directions. There might be a literal crossroads, especially for mutable signs. It's not exact, but still, if it aspects one of your personal planets, you might have a literal crossroads in life, sort of, or it's kind of generally a more short-term thing, though. Or you might have to make a choice, more compromises, that sort of thing. It could have to do with health or mental health. I think people are feeling really restless. There's a lot of frenetic energy, a lot of nervous energy. If you have health problems, they could flare up a little bit. So just all I can say is, just relax. Don't take for granted that it's not as bad as it could be. Things are getting better. It's just taking some time. And be easygoing, be flexible, be adaptable, be willing to compromise when it's appropriate to compromise this week. Again, especially on Thursday and Friday, because there's just these really weird aspects. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be exactly how you wanted it to be. You might end the day being like, I did my best. It feels kind of weird, but I did what I could do. So, that's really what it is. It's kind of a weird week. It's a really weird week. Nothing super major or groundbreaking, just a lot of weird situations. Okay, Saturday, May 30th, the moon opposes Neptune, so it kind of finishes up that T-square aspect. And again, that could be, it's a little bit like Friday, but a little bit more relaxed, though, kind of coming out of that T-square energy where, that awkward pulled in so many different directions energy. So you're coming out of that, but then there's this, you might have desires to escape. I mean, it makes sense because after coming out of such an awkward, weird week with all these weird little problems, by Saturday we might just want to check out. We might want to watch a movie or just go to sleep or listen to music, or go jogging, work out, gardening, something where you could kind of just forget about what's going on. So as long as you're doing that in healthy ways, it's okay. You gotta balance the Virgo with the Pisces. Escape from reality, but do it in a healthy way through, paint a picture or go jogging or work out. Or if you're frustrated, punch a punching bag. Do it in ways that are constructive. Maybe avoid drugs and alcohol. Because Saturday you might just want to be like, screw it, I'm just gonna get fucking faded. And, just preferably do that in healthy ways, ideally. Because, it's not a fun party energy, again. There's no fire planets. Saturday, like, if you want to escape through a party type of thing, it's not going to go well. Reading, gardening, working out, yoga, meditating, painting, drawing, writing, something like that, something where you can kind of just check out in a positive way. That would be good on Saturday. Okay, and then the best part of this week is Sunday. Is the last part of the week is the best. I think. My favorite aspect is a yod. I like yods and T-squares, but it's more like I like them intellectually as an astrologer because they're interesting, because there's so many things going on that you have to integrate. I don't like them like personally. They're not fun. They're not the most fun to experience. They're just interesting intellectually. Yeah. So, but going into Sunday, May 31st, the moon enters Libra, which kind of changes things a lot. Fridays there's that T-square. Saturday you're still kind of getting out of the T-square. But then Sunday morning, especially because the moon enters Libra early Sunday morning, and then from there it's I think it's a lot different because the moon then starts to trine the sun. The moon is still waxing. It's gaining light, gaining power. It's leaving that square aspect, and it's starting to make these trines with Sun and Venus in Gemini. So Sunday it actually gets a lot nicer, especially Sunday evening, Sunday night. Feeling there's actually some flow energy. Like nothing was flowing well all week, but then Sunday it actually flows well. There's this harmony, and that harmony could be found socially, or could be found through intellectual activities, or hanging out with people that you like, or something intellectual. It's an air sign, so it's either kind of a mindy energy, mental energy, or social energy, something like that that's actually kind of pleasant and flowing well. And that pretty much concludes not only this week but this whole month. And I forgot to mention Mercury did enter Cancer on it entered Cancer May 28th. So Thursday, May 28th. I forgot to write that down. But basically, so honestly, it's not that big a deal. Mercury's going so quick that it's only been spending like 2 weeks in each sign. So it was only in Gemini for the past 2 weeks. So that would mean for the past 2 weeks, on a mental level, we might have felt more busy, more frenetic, more chatty, more gossipy, more social, more scattered. And then starting Thursday, May 28th, the mental energy gets a little bit more stable. It gets more emotional, more calm, more reserved, more introverted, more conservative. And people mentally are becoming more careful. So we want to just be more chill and not be so mentally stressed and focused on so many things. From here on, the Mercury energy becomes a little bit more focused and a little bit more introspective. And so, socially or mentally, we're gonna more want to attract things that are already familiar to us. So talk to people that we already know, or just do the things that we're comfortable with already. We want more of that security, mentally speaking. And that will apply to the next month or so, or I think it might be the next couple months. I need to look into it, but because Mercury, it's still going really fast right now, but it will enter its retrograde zone, its pre-shadow, on... It goes retrograde June 17th. So it's actually almost in its shadow zone. It's the pre-shadow starts at 5 degrees Cancer. So basically going into next week, at the start of next week, it'll already be going into its pre-shadow. So things have been flying forward. There's been new developments, and pretty soon we're going to be asked to reflect, like whatever's happening now and whatever has been happening, we might have to revisit next month when Mercury goes retrograde. There's something happening right now that we're not fully integrating, and with everything I just said, that seems pretty obvious. There's so many different things happening this week, so many different little problems and different themes playing out, that it's kind of impossible to fully absorb all of it. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to sort of revisit that next month when Mercury goes retrograde. And okay, so that's pretty much all I have. like I said, it does get kind of interesting next week. Going into June, things definitely get interesting. We're approaching eclipse season. We're approaching Mercury retrograde, and so again, like I said, we're leaving the crisis phase of the last 3 months, but it's definitely going to still get more interesting in the near future. We're kind of just in this awkward in between phase this week. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have for you, and thanks for listening and hang in there. Just be easygoing, be adaptable. That's all I can really say. Okay, bye.